Please stop, please stop with the credit card spending. The person I am right now is the person I wish I had in my life 10 years ago. The teenage version of myself was a hot mess, like I'm sure it was for a lot of people. I knew nothing about the world. I knew even less about myself. I experienced heartbreak, or hell, what I thought was heartbreak. I was horrible with money. I was extremely lost, but now I am found. And here's what I've learned. What's up, y'all? I'm Taryn. Thanks for stopping by. It's always nice to see you. And if you don't know, this channel is a mix of personal development, productivity, hopefully a little travel, blah, 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 all that. So look, girl, this video is going to be about all the advice that I wish I had and I desperately needed during my teenage years. If you are a teenager, listen up, please, so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So the first piece of advice that I give my teenage self falls under life tips. The first thing you need to do, little teenage Taryn, is to figure out what you want your life to look like. Like, that's it. That's really the first thing you need to do. Because once you do that, everything else will fall into place. That'll determine your relationships. That will determine how you are with money. Knowing how you want your life to look in the future, it's going to shape everything. I know for myself, I want a life of luxury. I want a life of travel. I want a life of just ultimate freedom. And back then, during my teen years, I never really gave much thought about how I wanted my life to look. So what I've been doing now is playing catch up over the last few years, trying to make that life happen for myself. The second piece of advice under life tips is to know that nothing is the end of the world. I know as teenagers, we sometimes go through crazy things that we think are always the end of the world, or it's never going to get any better, but I promise nothing is the end of the world. I mean, look at me, I'm sitting right here, so apparently everything turned out okay. So just remember that nothing is the end of the world, really. And to add to that, always try your best to stay in the present moment. That really helps whenever it feels like your world is crashing down around you. Stay in the present moment and know that everything will always be okay. Okay, so this one is a big one. The next piece of advice, the next topic of advice falls under financial tips. Let's take a moment of silence real quick. Okay, the first piece of advice, teenage Taryn, is to live below your means. Not within your means even, but below your means, okay? That one was really hard for me back then because I am a spender. If I see something that I want it now. So I had to really practice delayed gratification rather than instant gratification. And over the years, I'm starting to adopt more of a minimalistic,
Stupid.
That word. I'm trying to adopt one of those lifestyles so that I don't focus so much on material things. That's something that I wish I started doing way back in my teen years, because I was just out spending money I didn't have, and it just was not good for anything. So don't be like that. Okay, so the second one under financial tips is to start saving for an emergency fund while you're still in high school. I started working at McDonald's when I was 16, and back then, you know, I barely had any bills. I think the only thing I paid for was gas back then. I could have easily stacked my money up during high school instead of just spending it on stuff like Amazon and food and just, you know, crazy teenage stuff. So that's a really huge one. And for me, I didn't grow up with a lot of extra money going around. So once I finally started making my own money, that was it for me. I didn't have to wait to ask anybody to buy things. I didn't have to save up whatever I wanted. I just bought. And I wish, just thinking now, I wish I was a lot more forward thinking so that I could have saved up money that I could have used throughout college. I didn't. So please save up your emergency fund if you're in high school, if you have a job, and especially if you're not really paying any bills right now. Okay. Number 3, under financial tips, teenage Taryn. Please stop with the credit card spending. For the love of God, just stop. Please, just stop. That's all I can say on that one. The next one under financial tips. Like, can you tell that finances were my biggest downfall during my teenage years and even my early 20s? This is the longest one. So the next tip is to stick to the budget that you make for yourself. Like, I had a budget back then. I just didn't stick to it. I just didn't use it. Do as I say, not as I did. So even, hold on one second. I think I still have, yep. And I still have the same budget binder that I used back, Bill. I still have the same budget binder that I did back all those years ago. I still use it now. The only difference is now I actually stick to it. So if you are a teenager, make sure you have a budget for yourself, even for the small expenses you may have, and stick to your budget and know where your money is going. And if you guys do need a little bit of help with your budget, I have a free PDF budget planner that I made that you guys can download for free. I'll leave that link in the description box, but it's something that you can kind of use as a reference to really keep track of all your monthly expenses. So make sure to download that down below if you guys don't have a budget right now, like a budget planner right now. And I'm pretty sure that back then I was in the mindset of like, well, I'm still in my teens, I'm still in my early 20s, I still have so much time to get my savings together and get my money right. I'll deal with that later. No, don't do that. Do not do that. So now that I'm in my late 20s, I am now doing damage control for all of the havoc that I wreaked over my finances back in my teenage years and during my early 20s. So it's not a fun place to be. So if you have the opportunity to set yourself up for financial success during your teen years, please do it so you don't end up playing catch up and doing damage control in your mid to late 20s, just due to something that is extremely easily avoidable. Okay, so now that we're finally out of the financial tips, the next set of tips is going to be more along the lines of life or love/relationships. So for number one, the most important relationship that you will ever have is with yourself. So practice self-love and know your worth, because once you do, guys, I put up with so much crap that I did not have to put up with way back then, just because I didn't know any better and I didn't know how to properly love myself. So love yourself first before anything else. And teenage Taryn, take out those color contacts. Please, just take them out. Just take them out. Oh my God, just take them out, girl. Take them out. Just take them out. The next one is to understand that everyone wasn't put into your life to stay forever. Some people were only meant to be in your life for a season. Some people were meant to be in your life even less than that. But the people who matter the most will always be there at the end of everything. So the next tip under this umbrella is to fix any broken relationships that you may have with people that you love, whether it's family or friends. And if it's a relationship that really means a lot to you, and if you think that it's worth fixing, try fixing it. Just try being the bigger person. If this is someone that you just can't imagine not being in your life, try to make amends with that person just to, see what comes of it. And even if it doesn't work out, you'll at least have peace within yourself, knowing that you did all that you could, but it just wasn't meant to be. Okay, so the next umbrella is health tips. So the first tip is to be more active throughout college. I walked a lot, which I guess was something, but I didn't really consistently exercise, nor did I always eat the best things. And as a result, I lost a lot of weight in college. I look back at some of my old pictures and I looked really sickly. So I definitely recommend exercising and eating right in college so that you don't either lose a whole lot of weight and you don't also gain a whole lot of weight. Another big one is to take your mental health into consideration. Back then, I knew nothing about mental health, and that was during a time where my mental health was not the best. College was not a good time for me. And just knowing a little bit more about it would have saved me a lot. So definitely keep your mental health in order and just know about all the available resources there are for you. Okay, so the last category of tips fall under career tips. My first piece of advice under this one is to figure out what type of job you want. What do you see yourself doing in the future that will make you decent money and is something that you really enjoy doing? And this one kind of falls into the first tip, the very first tip that I gave you guys at the video. Figure out how you want your life to look. This career tip falls into that one. So what do you like doing? What is something that you're naturally good at? What is something you enjoy doing? What is something that is in demand, in the market, or something that you could possibly build demand for in the market? So determine what you want your career to be and make sure it's something that you enjoy doing so that you don't go into this downward spiral like I did of jobs that I hated just to make ends meet. So it's really important, and don't skip over that one. Another tip under this one is to go outside of your comfort zone, whether it's for work, whether it's for honestly just anything. I always feel like if you stay within your comfort zone, you're not really growing, because you're having the same experiences, you're seeing the same people doing the same things. So really learning to step outside of the area that you are comfortable in and the area that you're comfortable with will help you in so many ways. It'll definitely help you in your career. You'll get a lot of great experience just by meeting different people and networking and maybe learning different skills. So step outside of your comfort zone and always see what else is out there and always expand your knowledge. Okay guys, so that's all that I have for you. If you're a teen, I hope that some of these tips helped you out so you don't make a lot of the same mistakes that I did. And if you're not a teen anymore, then you can probably relate to some of these things. So as always, I'll see you guys in the next one, and yeah, bye. So the next I'm annoyed.